words remain. Love is gone, and there's a pain of being alone. Remembering night, speaking goodbye. Moments lean on and cry. The days go on without you knowing whether I'm strong, whether I've grown. Try and get high with all the sky. Won't I just fly about outside? And I know, of course, that I'm gonna get by. Your love will always survive. Still care for you, of that I'm sure. No matter how much I ignore, till I'm unbound from this
Sometimes he may let it go and we'll define what we have always known. In the scenes here that show started long ago, like his story there and slow, and the love just grows. Yeah, the miles away, but we're not broken them alone. Make our time like we have nowhere else to roam and hold the line. But sometimes we may let it go and we'll define what we have always known. What we have always known. What we have always known. Radio on, and we sang along.
Rain in the ground, carrying the sound.
He's sitting down in this small northern town of him. All the ways that you bring, you're my everything.
It's a rocky life with this veiny ride.
You sit beside in the lowest hours. We saw beauty fly, birds holding light, hanging long through the night. We call in infinite as a rain. You're my everything. Do, do, do. Stay here in mind. Tomorrow you can find that wind in the breath that you claim. You're my everything. Do, do, do. You're my everything.
Good afternoon. My name is Mark Torgowski. I'm the head of school here at Denver Academy, and I'd like to welcome you all here to Denver Academy this afternoon. Jobie Hereford was a high school student here from 2015 until she graduated in 2019. Jobie was absolutely loved and adored by her classmates and teachers, many of who are here with us today. Yeah, you can woo. I have to tell you, being a teacher here and probably anywhere else is a crazy thing. You know, each year, after spending years and years becoming intellectually, psychologically, and emotionally attached to our students, we send 50 or so of our graduates out into the world. And as we say our goodbyes, we're sad, but we also look forward to their return to our campus as adults and alumni. Jobie was one of our kids, and we've missed her from the moment she graduated. And although we are profoundly sad that we will not have another visit from Jobie, we are also profoundly grateful and blessed to have had our time with her. You should have seen her on the basketball court. Those of you that did or that played with her, I'm sure you would agree with me that she was not good. That's a little bit of an understatement. Her brother will attest to that, I believe. But man, she was also not afraid to try stuff that she was not good at. She hustled, she worked hard, and mostly just had fun. And her attitude was infectious. This picture, I keep that as a reminder. It is on my phone that even though I'm a teacher, I still have much to learn. I took this picture of Jobie on Thursday, March 22nd, 2018. We were in the San Rafael Swell in the Utah desert. This was a Denver Academy wilderness trip in partnership with Colorado Outward Bound School. Jobie was one of the campers. I was a chaperone, along with fellow teachers Chris Fritchie and Kayla Wheat. Now, I am not particularly fond of dirt, nor bugs, nor sleeping outside, nor the cold. And the truth is, I was having a hard time getting past all that, and I was not enjoying myself on this trip. But here's Jobie on the first day, just into it. She's got all the gear, you know, like the outfit, the sunglasses, totally cool. I think you can see me in the reflection there. And she was just constantly smiling, having the time of her life. At one point, she kind of adopted one of our middle school campers who was really nervous and scared all the time. He seemed to hate camping, and he was really homesick. Jobie gave him a hug when he needed one, helped him cross a river, climb a chimney rock formation, secure his backpack, whatever, always with confidence and that smile right there. I was so impressed by her, and I was scared and homesick. So one afternoon on a desert hike, I asked Jobie, wow, so you're pretty much an expert out here, huh? I mean, you really seem comfortable, and you really know what you're doing. Like, do you camp a lot? Some of you are already laughing. Jobie just busted out laughing. I was confused, she explained. She told me, oh man, I hate sleeping outside and bugs and dirt and all of it. I much prefer glamping, actually. Had to Google that when I got home. I think that's what I prefer too. I said, wow, me too, but I don't think I really like this, and I don't get it. I don't get it. You look so happy out here and really into it. What's up with that? So Jobie says to me, well, I am happy. This place is beautiful, and these people are cool. But sure, I also miss my own pillow and my house. She continued, but you know, I guess I just asked myself at the beginning of this trip, do you want to make everyone else's trip better or worse? And I just decided to figure out how to enjoy myself and make everyone else's trip better too. That moment when your students become your teachers. What an amazing attitude, and what a great gift for me in that moment. Jobie Hereford, I think, has made everyone's trip better. Thanks for that, Jobie.
Oh my goodness. Good afternoon, and welcome to this unfathomable event. Unfathomable though it is, it's also very on brand for Jobie, that her last act was to bring together so many beloved people. Community, that was Jobie's thing, and we're going to hear a lot about that today. First, I need to thank the two best aunties ever, Ellen Thompson and Cara Dukakis. For real. If you are ever in dire straits, may you be blessed with rescue aunties like Ellen and Cara. They have been nothing short of amazing in their love for Jobie and the care for our family. I want to thank Mark and Denver Academy for hosting. And yes, she was not a great basketball player, but she ran the table on every Spirit and Citizenship Award that this school ever offered. The paradox of what we went through is that the obvious and awful consequences of Jobie getting sick are accompanied by some incredible experiences. We got to experience the tsunami of love thrown at us by so many friends and family. We got to experience a near total fusion between Nico, Andrea, Jobie, and me as we fought this battle together. No one was ever taken better care of than Jobie. Of course, it didn't hurt that she charmed every doctor, every nurse, every tech, every rehab specialist she met at each phase of this journey, flashing her smile, carpet bombing everyone with questions about their lives and their family. She was, without fail, the favorite patient in every ward, every exam room, and every PT room that we entered. And this is fact, says her dad. I need to mention our big three, the captains of Team Jobie. First, the quarterback, because the quarterback always comes first. Alyssa Reddy. Alyssa, where are you here? Please tell me. Where are you? Stand. Hello. Alyssa Reddy. UCSF neuro-oncologist, brilliant, compassionate, sort of looks like Andrea. Alyssa, she showed me what great healthcare providers do. She gave us hope and everything she had in her toolbox. She treated Jobie as a vibrant young woman, not a tumor vessel. And she talked me off many, many cliffs. Thank you, Alyssa. Molly Hemingway. Molly, are you here? Please. Well, we're going to talk about you anyway. Molly Hemingway, nurse practitioner, head of children's oncology operations, absolute baller, another exemplar of the 360-degree approach to dealing with very sick kids and their families. Molly is not only a gifted technical clinician, she isn't afraid to go old school and prescribe Chick-fil-A French fries for a girl struggling to keep on weight. And Delmi Acosta. Delmi, are you here? I need you to stand. There she is. Our CNA, home health helper, Jobie whisperer, superior human being. Delmi was our savior these past 6 months, there with expertise and compassion, giving all of us courage when things got very rough. She and her family were introduced to us by Ann Reedy, who said, "They are angels put on this earth to care for others. Don't overthink this, Hereford." I didn't. Ann was right. And Delmi is my bro for life. Thank you, Delmi. Thank you. And now we're going to get started with some words from some of Jobie's people. Thank you.
I wrote this while sitting next to Jobie a few weeks ago. I didn't intend to read it out loud, but I'm going to right now. Having a child die isn't what it seems like from the outside in. I've imagined it when I hear about a teenager killed in a car accident, or when I read about a young soldier killed in Ukraine, or when a young adult dies by suicide. When Jobie was diagnosed with a brain tumor 2 years ago, I never thought we'd lose her. She was too present in my life, our lives. She and I fought about her hair, my efforts to fix it, and her clothes, my need to comment on them, and her life, how I thought she could handle things better. I worried about her friendships, her occasional tendency to push friends away, her homebodiness, and whether she could tackle life's necessities. But I never thought I would lose her. I could be with Jobie and just be. We like to reminisce about a trip we took to the beach a few years ago, how our schedules were just so in sync. We didn't have John and Nico imposing their agendas on us. We woke up when we wanted to, ate lunch when we wanted to at 4 p.m. We had late dinners and watched movies in our bed with dessert from room service. When Jobie was 10 or 11 or 12 years old, she planned a surprise party for me. She called my friends, the ones she could find the numbers for, and arranged the table with appetizers and drinks. I think I found out but didn't tell her. She was just so breathtakingly excited. She was like that. Jobie was a giver. It was never for thank yous and recognition. Her decline came so gradually, we actually got used to each phase. First the tumor, then the 7-hour surgery, then the loss of her hair due to radiation. After that, she started losing vision in her right eye and the use of her right hand, and then she began limping. We have a lot of guilt about letting Jobie go back to Providence College last fall. Her cognition was different. She couldn't relate as easily to people, even the amazing women she met there. And it was hard for her to walk across campus. She ate alone in her room a lot. Then there was the time I let her take the train back to Providence after a weekend we spent in Boston. She had this enormous backpack filled with books, and she fell getting off of the train in Providence. It felled me to the core, the pain of her new disability and the loss of her dignity. Over time at Providence, she started slurring her words. John visited and decided to pull the plug on school, and she came back to Denver. A few months later, she needed a walker. We took her to Craig Rehab Hospital to get her walking again, but she got worse. They fitted her for a wheelchair and told us there was nothing more they could do. Oh, I'm missing a page. This is great. All right, well, I'm going to just go off the cuff, unless it's in my bag. Okay, off the cuff. It's crazy to say this now, but saying goodbye to Jobie was one of the most beautiful things I've ever experienced in my life. I watched John fight for her life. I watched Nico carry Jobie everywhere, all around the house, wherever she needed to go. And I watched Nico and Jobie do their long, involved goodnight ritual kiss. Having a child die was nothing I ever dreamed of, nothing I ever imagined. But I never, ever imagined the love that would come with it, and the love of our family. I feel blessed and betrayed.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here to honor Jobie. Mom and Dad, you have been amazing through all of this. Medically, you did everything. Talked to every doctor, understood every diagnosis, and grappled with each new medicine and treatment path with extreme grace. Emotionally, Jobie relied on you at all times. She loved you both more than anyone on earth. Cara and Ellen, Jobie and I got so lucky with our aunties, and I did not know my dad was calling them aunties also. You two have been with us, and most importantly with Jobie, every step of the way. There's so many more thank yous and people I appreciate in this room. I can't help but think how much Jobie would have loved being here with all of you. On September 18th of last year, Jobie's 22nd birthday, she wrote a note on the Caring Bridge website asking and thanking everyone for donations to the Jobie Project, a UCSF study for NF-driven brain tumors and potential treatment. Jobie wrote, "I know people always tell me I'm so positive and have a good outlook on everything. But to tell you the truth, that's just my personality. I'm a naturally happy, positive person." This was so Jobie, and a perfect reflection of how she fought her way through the past 2 years. There were periods of denial and unfathomable news from doctors, but Jobie made a choice from early on that she was going to be positive. She had no interest in self-pity. Rather, after going to hell and back multiple times, Jobie kept her sense of optimism and ability to find joy in the company of people around her. We sometimes question Jobie's ability to process news surrounding her illness. In my opinion, Jobie always understood. She was never ignorant. She, just like always, wanted to protect her family and loved ones by remaining strong and positive. There are so many qualities that I admired and will miss about my sister. Jobie craved intense connection with people. She was so curious, to the point where she could pepper someone she just met with questions about something completely random. Jobie loved making other people feel special. She loved surprises, giving gifts, and holidays. Jobie was intensely loyal. She felt a strict responsibility to be there for people. Jobie was tough beyond belief. And if anyone knew Jobie, they knew her reputation for being tough started long before her diagnosis 2 years ago. When Jobie and I were younger, my dad and I would lead her in continuous rounds of full-contact Oklahoma-like football drills. She took hits like a champ. Simple things excited Jobie the most. She was never infatuated with fancy clothes or jewelry or material objects. She loved experiences and being with people. Carolina, one of Jobie's best friends, sent me a few voicemails that Jobie left when they were both away at college. Jobie said, "I'm so excited to see you. We are just going to have so much fun. I think we need to do many things when you are home. I was thinking we should do a big Annie's mac and cheese night and then a ton of cookie decorating with crazy fun toppings." This is a heavily edited version of the voicemail. There was far more detail on the food they were going to eat and cookies they were going to decorate. Jobie yearned for just hanging out. She loved overly planned small events that would create laughter and good conversation. What I will undoubtedly miss most about Jobie is her smile and laugh. Since I came home in early May, every day became physically harder for Jobie. What remained intact almost to the very end was her ability to laugh, and laugh at the same things that she had been laughing at for the last 22 years. A few things consistently ignited Jobie's massive open-mouthed smile and laugh. Mom and Dad's political debates. The two of us discussing who's going to take care of which parent as they became old and senile. As if we had to choose one. People calling me a COVID super spreader. The TV show Modern Family, Mom's countless efforts to have family movie nights, her friends and my friends asking for girl advice. Jobie, in her own goofy way, made other people laugh, but she found even more joy and humor in laughing with people and initiating conversations that drove group laughter. What has been so hard to sit with recently is how much I saw Jobie grow in the past few years and her enthusiasm for what was ahead. Jobie had been thriving at Providence College, a place that felt like home since she first visited the school. She loved the community, the school spirit, and all of the small things associated with being an independent college student. I recall her absolutely loving the slogan, "Friars hold doors." Jobie was a dual major in social work and women and gender studies. When asked what her major was with me in the room, she would proudly state what she was studying, quickly followed by, "Don't you think Nico could use a few classes on social work and gender studies?" This always got a good laugh. After college, it seemed obvious what Jobie would do with her life: work with kids. Every summer for the past 3 or 4 years, Jobie strapped on her backpack, walked up First Avenue to the JCC, and spent hours taking care of a group of toddlers. For so long, I didn't get it. Who the heck wants to lather sunscreen on 4-year-olds and take them swimming in 90-degree heat? And then I went to visit Jobie at camp and saw her in action. It all made sense. Jobie, with her distinct smile, was leading a camp-wide sing-along, all while 8 kids hung on every limb of her body. These kids loved Jobie, and I could see why. That image of Jobie at camp, surrounded by adoring little kids, is especially meaningful to me. Jobie sat through endless tennis matches and basketball games of mine, and now I got to watch her. Her work with kids was both effortless and truly joyful, and she was so proud to show me her own talent and success. Our family has never been seriously religious. Jobie used to love the fact that she could tell people she was half Catholic and half Jewish, something that always made me laugh and others fairly confused. I think there's a sense of pressure now to praise some kind of higher power for bringing Jobie to a better place. In reality, I want Jobie here. I miss her smile and her witty, quirky, pot-stirring sense of humor, and her unmatched excitement for the future. At the same time, I have felt a sense of comfort in learning about the idea of an afterlife, that Jobie is somewhere else right now, enjoying the same things she always has. A good laugh, TV nights, spending time with friends, and helping others. Saying goodbye to Jobie was horrible, but I'm so incredibly grateful we were able to tell her how much we loved her, how much we were going to miss her, and how much she gave to all of us.
Thank you. You three are rock stars, let me just say. My name is Marcia Toll, and I had the great joy of being Jobie's neighbor. In fact, we live across the street and can see Jobie's bedroom window from our house. With that proximity, Jobs was a steady presence in our home and friends with our children, Lucy and Henry. As many of you know, Jobie was tenacious. When she set her mind to do something, nothing stopped her. I remember when Jobie was 6, she was outgoing, loving, and strong. Our daughter Lucy was 4, cautious, quiet, and some would say cold. The girls wanted to be grown-ups and take a walk by themselves around the block, so I lagged some distance behind, but within earshot, I heard Jobie say, "I'm so glad we're best friends." Lucy replied, "Yeah, I used to be so scared of you, but you kept coming over and coming over, and now I love you." Those were the early days of seeing Jobie's tenacity, which we continue to see in her desire to return to Providence College in the fall of 2022. She advocated for herself with her professors and her parents. While one side of her body was not cooperating very well, Jobie's mind and heart were ready. She endured traveling with travel agent John, and not emotional support dog Iggy. And with numerous Shein outfits packed, she made it to PC. Jobie was also selfless. When Lucy and Jobie played with their baby dolls, it was never the usual bickering over who got to have what role. Jobie always let Lucy be the pregnant mom, Crystal, and Jobie was willing to be the husband. Who does that? We continued to see Jobie's selfless nature when 4-year-old Henry accidentally stepped on her hand and broke her thumb. She said that it didn't hurt, but it continued to swell up to the size of a tennis ball, and she got teary. I asked her how much it hurt, and she said, "It doesn't hurt. I just don't want Henry to get in trouble." It was an early example of Jobie's extraordinarily high threshold of pain, coupled with her deep compassion for everyone else. While Jobie was home recovering from brain surgery and going through chemo and radiation, she continued to be so generous and thoughtful. Lucy had her tonsils out, and Jobie wrote a note of encouragement and dropped off cozy PJs, Jamba Juice, and coffee ice cream. When Henry was in isolation with COVID, she was the treat fairy, leaving Chick-fil-A and his favorite nacho sauce from Qdoba on the front porch. Another superpower of Jobie's was her ability to connect. Lucy and Jobie would come home from one of their many walks to Safeway, and we would all chat around the kitchen island. Sometimes I could get in a question or two about her before she would ask thoughtful questions about what we were up to. Jobie introduced us to the Bachelor TV series and organized a weekly watch party with women from the block. Classic. She would bring treats from Whole Foods, often picking them up on her 2-mile walk home from working at the JCC. During quarantine, we set up a TV outside, even on freezing nights, so that we could keep being together. It was as trashy as TV gets, but the rest of us looked forward to Jobie's warmth and authenticity and the chance to connect. Jobie was the best part of snow days. The day had not begun until she sat down for chocolate chip pancakes. Our family looked forward to coming home from vacations because Jobie would pop herself in front of our computer and go through every single trip photo. I don't know who does that voluntarily, truly. Lucy and Jobie spent a lot of time talking about weddings, having babies, and being adults. When Lucy proclaimed that she would absolutely not be wearing my wedding dress, Jobie chimed in, "I love that dress. I would love to wear that dress." I used to think it was because Jobie had good taste. Being with her these last 2 years, I've since learned the depth of her ability to make others feel special and wanted. Even as her mobility and ability to talk waned, she smiled that 1,000-watt smile when I arrived for a visit. "How is Hen? How was your trip?" Asking how we were doing and tracking any recent plans. Even with everything that she had going on physically, mentally, and emotionally, her ability and desire to connect were woven into the very fabric of her being. Most of our family's relationship with Jobie was spent at our house. Then in these last 2 years, things shifted to us visiting at her house. We got to see firsthand the love, humor, and excellent conversation that is the Dukakis Hereford household. I finally understood how Jobie came to be tenacious and funny like her dad, curious and non-judgmental like her mom, and loving and strong like her brother. What Jobie learned from her family, she shared with us. Thank you.
Good afternoon. What an honor it is to speak in front of you today and in celebration of the amazing and way too short life of Jobie. There are no appropriate words for a situation like this, no great explanation, none that I have been able to identify. The truth is, my grief is overwhelming, and I am simply trying to be present for the emotion, knowing that I, like all of you, have to navigate a world in which Jobie is no longer on the planet in physical form. What can I possibly say to capture the spirit and soul of this incredible creature and the void she has left behind for all of us? Sorry. Maya Angelou said that her own mission in life was not merely to survive, but to thrive, and to do so with some passion, some compassion, some humor, and some style. My gut says that Maya Angelou is up there wherever Jobie is. They are sharing Starbucks and acknowledging this joint accomplishment of living a well-lived life. The last time I was here at Denver Academy, we were celebrating Jobie's high school graduation. Jobie thrived in this school, and I watched on graduation day just how evident it was that she was loved, and her gifts of compassion, humor, and style were known here and celebrated daily. Jobie lived 22 years, and yet she lived an entire existence. We all strive for balance in work and life and love. Jobie had that balance. She was equal parts giver, angel, contributor, as well as challenger and inquisitor. Whatever role she played, Jobie was a connector. She connected to me when she was just 5 years old, and since then, she was the glue to our family's relationships, and so often my relationship to myself and my own children who came years later. I remember celebrating a birthday at school with her. I think she was in the first grade. It was clear even then how classmates and teachers gravitated toward her magnetic personality. Everywhere she was so loved and adored, no matter your age, no matter the context. All were drawn in by Jobie's charisma. She was a teacher and counselor by nature, patient, fun, and responsible. Over the past 17 years, she and I shared so many special times. I attended various school gatherings, Halloween activities, family dinners, birthday parties, transitions into schools, and friendships. We talked about it all, and I often forgot she was only 8 or 12 or 15 at the time. Jobie has always transcended age. I knew Jobie before I had even met my husband, and I remember exactly when Jobie was meeting Jason for the first time. She surveyed the energy between us. It was clear she approved. And she asked without hesitation, "So if you two get married, do you have anyone in mind to be your flower girl?" Not too soon after, we did get engaged, and when I made that call to the Hereford house, Jobie ran to the phone and said, "Alyssa, my mom said you have a question you'd like to ask me?" She did show up on the day of our wedding with a black eye from a fall while skiing. And then all those unique special memories flood my mind, like when my son turned 1 and she fed him the entire birthday cake and proceeded to clean him up and bathe him mid-party, or when we arranged for Jobie to show up as the mystery reader in my daughter's kindergarten class, and she brought with her a big bag of Hershey Kisses to share with all. Yes, the teacher confiscated the candy, but the reminder of her desire to spoil everyone around her will always remain one of my favorite Jobie traits. Over the years, I watched closely as Nico showed infinite amounts of love, care, and a protective watch out for his sister. It was a beautiful thing to witness. I want to say to you, Nico, your love for Jobie was and is boundless. It has touched my heart over the years to see you two together and separately, and to feel the depth of affection shared between you. Thank you for modeling for me what true sibling love and care looks like. Nico, as you know, I grew up an only child, and you are who I wish I had in my life as a brother. I vow to be there for you now and in the future, however you would like or need. It's as if Jobie breathed life into all of us. Literally, to be in her presence was to feel her breath moving from her body to ours as she journeyed towards her end. Jobie the warrior. She stepped into this battle with more courage than I've ever experienced firsthand. She was open and let people into the hard stuff, especially the hard stuff. She modeled a raw vulnerability that defined stunning. And as she continued to verbalize the beauty she noticed in the world, all I could see was her beauty, the halo shining light all around her, a light I refuse to let go of. I've always struggled with showing up just as I am in this world, and that was Jobie's final lesson to me, that to show up just as you are is enough. Jobie never conformed. She liked what she liked. There was no changing or stopping her. That was the perfection of Jobie for me. I am one of Jobie's people, and if you are here today, you are also Jobie's people. We are a mighty and proud group. Being a part of Jobie's people has been one of the biggest blessings in my life. John and Andrea, thank you for sharing your beautiful children with me and our family, and for allowing us into this treasured community that will be with all of us forever. Maya Angelou also said that we all need to do the best we can until we know better, and then when we know better, do better. And I really do not like to speak in public, but I am here because I am a Jobie loyalist. And now I know better about so much because of her life and generous soul, and I will keep doing better because of her. Thank you, Jobie. I do not like being in this world without you. I love you.
You're probably wondering who's the medieval guy. My name's Father Justin Bolger. I'm the chaplain at Providence College, and I'm honored to be here. John, Andrea, Nico, my condolences. I'm so sorry for you. And there are some lovely young women, Jobie's friends, who loved her very much from Providence College. They're here as well. And yeah, it's just beautiful to hear how Jobie loved her time, her short time at Providence College, and we're so blessed for that love, which will live on. I want to just speak a little bit about hope. In the face of darkness, suffering, and tragedy, and this is a tragedy, like you said, Andrea, you are blessed and betrayed, which is a beautiful way to put it. The loss of Jobie is a tragedy, right? It's tragic. And in the face of times like this, especially when we lose someone so young, we can be tempted to despair, which is in a way a natural temptation. But there are treatments for despair, and it's especially the virtue of hope. So I want to speak a little bit about hope at this time. And what does hope do? Well, in a general sense, hope helps us to trust in God. God who made us, who loves us, and to take a line from Alyssa, maybe loves us just as we are. God loves all of us just as we are. He doesn't love the perfect us. He loves us right now, just as we are. And God loved Jobie with a perfect love. So hope helps us to trust in our God who loves us, and to cling to him, to trust him and to cling to him in the ways that he helps us. And I think Jobie revealed this to us with her joy, with her peace, how she was other-centered. She was a person of hope. And we need to live in hope too. We need to live in this similar hope. And so how does God help us? I just want to talk about a couple ways that God helps us. One of the truths of the Christian faith that we hold is that death is not the end. In the funeral liturgy, there's this beautiful line that in death, life is changed, not ended. Life is changed, not ended. So that when we pass from this life, that's exactly what it is. It is a passage. So Jobie has passed, but she is not ended. And again, I think that's revealed in all of us today, that we are now Jobie people, right? And she's teaching us something. She's still teaching us something. So that's one truth, right? That in death, that's not the end. Another truth of the Christian faith is that our Lord Jesus conquered death. We really believe that our Lord conquered death. We see that even in the scriptures with the apostles. The apostles were scared, weak, frightened men. The night before Jesus died, they ran away. They betrayed him. They were gone. And then we have the mystery of Christ's death and resurrection. And after that, they're fearless. They're courageous. They go throughout the world. And they live and they die for this message. Basically, this simple message that our Lord Jesus died for us. And he has conquered death. And so that we who live and die in this belief have hope. So that's the second thing I want to say. So death is just a passage. Our Lord Jesus has conquered death. And finally, a little bit of music. My Providence College students may know, oftentimes I turn to tunes in order to preach. One of the genres of music that I love is gospel music, old American folk music, because there are all these themes about our life basically as a pilgrimage, that we are pilgrims. We don't know how long our life will be, but we're all pilgrims. There's the great kind of Exodus narrative that the Israelites were enslaved in Egypt, were pilgrims in the desert, and finally went over the Jordan into the promised land. And in a way, that's an image of our life. And so much of gospel music goes to this image, that we are pilgrims on a journey. And so I want to sing a little bit of a song that I love, that I think kind of reveals this truth. It's called Just a Closer Walk with Thee. Just a couple verses. Just a closer walk with Thee, granted, Jesus, is my plea. Daily walking close to Thee, let it be, dear Lord, let it be. I am weak, but Thou art strong. Jesus, keep me from all wrong. I'll be satisfied as long as You walk with me, dear Lord, walk with me. When my feeble life is over, time for me will be no more. Guide me gently, safely over to Thy kingdom shore, O Lord, to Thy shore. Just a closer walk with Thee, granted, Jesus, is my plea. Daily walking close to Thee, let it be, dear Lord, let it be. Eternal rest grant unto her, O Lord. May Jobie's soul and the souls of all the faithful departed, through the mercy of God, rest in peace. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen.
Did I lift you in sweet Monterey? I realize something. You'll never be far away. I'll be thinking about you all my days. I'll be thinking about you all the way. And I don't know when you got in my head, but I'm not gonna let you stay.
Give me your eyes, baby. Give me your heart too.
Give me your affection now. Give me all of you. I'll be thinking about you all my days. I'll be thinking about you all the way. And I'm not sure how, but you're in me now. And I know that you're there to stay. And your love makes me lose my way. I cannot get enough of your face. The way you come to me in the night. I just want to hold you tight. I'll be thinking about you all my days. I'll be thinking about you all my days. I'll be thinking about you all my days. I'll be thinking about you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rosie. I'm blessed to call myself a friend of Jobie's and a fellow Providence Friar. I never thought I'd be standing up here at age 23, having to talk in this way about someone so special to me. And as much as I wish from the deepest part of me that we didn't have an occasion to be here today, I am deeply honored and grateful to be able to talk about Jobs, the girl who loved so deeply, hugged warmly, smiled big, laughed loud, lived every day to the fullest, welcomed everyone into her circle, pushed for change, worked incredibly hard, even when things didn't come easy, leaned into moments, looked for the good, and was unapologetically herself. I am up here on behalf of Jobie's crew at Providence College to tell you about the impact she made on Friartown. I decided the best way to do that is to share a few memories that I gathered from Jobie's people at PC. Jobs was a connector. She was always bringing everyone together on campus and inviting people to come along. One example is how she was the official reservation planner for Draymond Dining Hall and would invite her people and anyone else to meet up for dinner there. If you went to PC, you knew that there are better things than Raymond Dining Hall food. But I think maybe Jobie's thinking was, we can be distracted from the food while we're dropping first and last names at the table. Although most of the food was awful, Jobie was a master waffle maker, making extravagant waffles with vases on them, complete with whipped cream and sprinkles. Always present at the Ray dates or any gathering with Jobie was her infectious laughter, a good conversation, and big smiles. Her saying was, the more the merrier, and this just sums her up in a nutshell. This saying made more of an impact than she realized because everyone always felt at home with her, even in the earliest and roughest days of freshman year. Jobie was there. What we would all do for a Ray date again and for a good laugh with our girl now. Following the theme of gathering everyone together comes the topic of Room 209. In sophomore year, Jobie, Catherine, and Molly lived together, and when COVID shut everything down, on campus, the room became the meeting ground for so many of which are in this room today. Liv, Catherine, Hannah, Molly, Diana, Grace, Christina. And the saying was Pack 209. The room was one of light and laughter, of TikToks and loud music, occasionally some craziness, shots of bad vodka, and nights that ended in PJs and mac and cheese cups, of course, because Jobie always had the good snacks and was always sharing. COVID sucked, but out of it came days like that and dinners in the study lounge, which Jobie deemed the new race spot when the dining hall was closed down. I think I'm also following the trend of Andrea missing a page. This wasn't part of the plan. The other thing I was going to say, part of that year that was really special is we escaped from campus when we weren't supposed to leave and fled to a beach house in Westerly, Rhode Island, and we were like dodging all of the professors on campus and like hoping that no one saw us. And that weekend was a weekend of so much joy, a weekend of beach walks and wine nights and laughter and trying to learn the TikTok, the WAP at the time. And one of the days we were on the beach, we all went in the water, and at that point it was definitely too cold to be swimming. But we were all there, and for the first time in a while, we had some of the most genuine smiles that we had had. And in that house, there's a room with twin beds, and Jobie and I were sleeping in the twin beds, and we would chat on our nights to sleep. But that trip is one that we all hold so dearly in our hearts and wish we could have today. I'm like really upset about my page missing. Yeah. Okay, I could truly go on for ages, sharing stories from everyone who loved Jobie and the joy and comfort and beauty she brought to PC as a proud friar. But I'll leave you with this wisdom, which embodies Jobie. The more the merrier. Hug your friends, make a TikTok, smoke a little weed, and make a mac and cheese cup. Laugh harder and go Friars. Dear Jobs, we miss you every second. Thank you for loving us, holding us up, supporting us, and for pushing us to be better, to fight for what matters, to be ourselves, and work hard, but not take things too seriously. Thank you for being one hell of a bright light no matter what darkness was around. You were so brave. We will carry you and your impact with us every day forward. We love you forever.
Hi, everyone. My name is Carolina, and I'm one of Jobie's childhood friends. This might be one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. Not only because I am here with all of you and grieving the loss of Jobie, but also because it feels impossible to try and do justice to someone who is so special that she simply defies words. I know in talking to many of you here today that we share the same sentiment of never having met someone quite like her. When I think about my life so far, it is no exaggeration to say that Jobie changed it for the better. Jobie and I met at Bromwell Elementary School. We soon discovered that we lived only 1 block away from each other on Gilpin Street. Because of Jobie, I joined the Mighty Fairies soccer team, where we enjoyed many seasons of unparalleled glory, coached by her dad, John. Jobie left Bromwell to go to Stanley British Primary School for 5th grade. On the last day of 4th grade, I remember Jobie breaking this news to me. She had wanted to delay it as long as possible, and we stood holding each other and crying together in Miss Lewis's classroom. The only logical solution to this separation was for me to follow her to Stanley, which I did a year later, and we shared our middle school years there. Even as a little kid, Jobie was innately good, kind, and loving. She has always had an emotional intelligence that far exceeds mine and that of our peers. I remember when I was caught up in a silly elementary school conflict that it was Jobie who ran up to give me a hug. Afterwards, as we sat together on the playground, we promised each other we would always be best friends. At that age, she was already the kind of person who looked out for the underdog, who could tell when someone's feelings were hurt or when they were being excluded, and she really cared. Jobie and I always talked about how we were perfect sleepover buddies growing up. We had our system and it worked. When it was time to sleep, we would place a pillow between us in the middle of the bed because we both liked our personal space. We struggled to go to bed because all we wanted to do was stay up and chat. As soon as we tried to sleep, we would lie in silence for about 5 seconds, and then one of us would inevitably start giggling. My mom would hear us downstairs and come up to tell us to go to sleep, but then she always would end up snuggling and chatting with us too. One time, Jobie and I had a sleepover, but she ended up having food poisoning. However, Jobie's sleepovers were such a special occasion that I recall still begging her to stay over despite her vomiting. I love that Jobie was very curious about other people and the world around her. She has always been like this. She would ask you a question and really listen for the answer. She was the kind of friend who checked in often and sincerely. She always remembered everything, even the tiny details, which I think is a sign of how much she cared. She could tell you what dress you wore to the 6th grade dance and who you danced with and who drinks the Nesquik in your family. I think she gets this from Andrea, who can famously remember everyone's birthday. Jobie always wanted to know everything, and so we talked about everything. We shared our future hopes and dreams and meticulously dissected the details of our lives. At what age did we think we would get our periods? Whose brother was more annoying? If we were to get married, what kind of cake would we have? What style of wedding dress would we wear? Jobie was an avid watcher of Say Yes to the Dress on TLC, and she wanted a mermaid-style dress. Her curiosity and love of people saw her forging connections everywhere she went. I am absolutely convinced that she is currently watching us all with an intense interest in who is here and what we are saying. If she were here, we would have a debrief afterwards, probably with John and our friend Mia, sitting at their kitchen counter. About a year ago on my birthday, Jobie made a toast in which she remarked, "I'm blessed that our favorite things to do are the most simple." She was so right. So many of my favorite memories with Jobs were when we were doing nothing but being together. Sitting on her porch during COVID spring, having long talks and eating pizza from John's experimental phase with a pizza oven. Carpooling to and from school every day and regaling our parents with our stories. John would famously honk when he picked me up, to Jobie's annoyance and embarrassment because I was always running late. When my mom drove, Jobs always got shotgun. I'm not sure how this came to be, but it's something we never questioned. Growing up, we invented games like our famous one called Surprise Tan, which we would play with my brother Peter. We made excruciatingly embarrassing but earnestly acted home movies, countless videos on photo booth of us singing, and just generally engaged in silly antics. Jobie loved to reminisce on our childhood, and even in her last months, we smiled remembering it. Jobie, right now, I don't know what I'm going to do without you. As my life goes on and the milestones pass, there will always be a void that your presence should have filled. I don't know if I will ever lose the instinct to call you just to hear your voice or to walk down the street to see you. Your phone number is still the only one saved as a contact on our now defunct home phone. I will always see you in all of your favorite things: the color blue, the ocean, every Taylor Swift song, Christmas, birthdays, pumpkin spice lattes, pajamas and a movie night, family and friendship. I do know that your smile, your laugh, and your special way of making those around you feel so loved will always be with me. A day will never, ever go by where I don't think of you, remember your warmth, and feel overwhelming gratitude for having known you. I love you, Jobie.
My name is Grace. I'm one of Jobie's friends from PC. And I wrote this song about 2 months ago, right after I saw her, along with all the other girls who came from PC, for the last time in June. And I was thinking about, I think what all of us have questioned, which is what should I have said that I didn't get to say. And every time I thought about Jobie, it would always kind of lead back to the idea that she's so incredible, that because she loves so deeply and widely, she's loved by so many people. And yeah, it's such an honor to sing this song for all of you with the incredibly talented Abby Walker, and I hope that some of this resonates with you. Jobie, love, I miss you. How have you been? I think this is my 10th message since you stopped responding, but my mom tells me to keep sending them just in case you see them. So I send this in agreement, 'cause I can't leave things unsaid. So this is all I have to say. If I have kids one day, they'll know your name, and I'll tell them all the stories of our days spent in the glory. How when you smiled, hearts began to change. They'll brag to their friends, Mom knew a princess, and I swear to God that I believe the same. Ooh. Same. I'm sorry this took so long to send. I'll never have the strength you had at 21, too young to lose a friend. But even now I know if you were here, you'd smile and say, don't worry honey, I was born to love, and so I so I live. So if I have a baby girl, she'll have your name. And she'll know when people met you, their lives would never be the same. And I'll teach her how you live for every day. And Jobie, she'll have so much pride when I tell her about you every night. She'll try to be as loving as you, as patient and as kind. She'll brag to her friends how I'm new a hero. I swear to God, I know that you'll be right. So Jobie, love, darling, here's my message. I hope it wasn't too long. I miss you, but I'll see you in the sunshine and in every happy song. How can I thank you for all the good and wonder that you've done? I'm not sure, but I can promise you that if I have kids, they'll know your endless love.
Mark. All right, that's good. That was beautiful, girls. Thank you so much. Incredible. Well, we didn't leave anything in the locker room on this one. We left it all out on the field. I did, my family did, but man, so did our friends. This incredible and unmatched network of friends. You all here and others not here, you left nothing in the locker room for us. You fed us, you advised us, you consoled us, and you showed us so much love. I recognize there's no right way to deal with this type of ordeal. For me, being compulsively social was helpful. And let's be honest, we brought a lot of people along this ride with us. So many who shared the grief and tears, our hopes and heartbreak. But I also hope that you too experienced the vivid beauty that comes from the love generated in a shared crisis. I recognize that the pain and grief is not ours alone, that many others are torn up by this, and I'm sorry for your loss too. It would take hours to thank all of the people for all of the mitzvahs bestowed on Jobie, Nico, Andrea, and me throughout this journey. But I was taking notes and keeping score. Partly to be able to thank all of you personally and appropriately, and partly to know just how underwater I am in the karma bank. With all the goodwill I have consumed these past 2 years, I fear that I would need 10 lifetimes to bring my karma capital account into balance, that I have become the Greece or Argentina of karma debt, hopelessly insolvent. But I am grateful. I am grateful more than you could ever know. Thank you. So first, a few words about my family. Nico, consensus first team, all big brother. Still neatness challenged, but a good and giving and strong man in all the areas that count. Nico came home immediately after the dreaded news in May, and for 2 months somehow balanced a first-year investment banking analyst obligations with caring for and loving his little sister. Later, he made the difficult decision to take a leave from work to focus on his sister, and he rarely left Jobie's side. Other than to lift weights and look at himself shirtless in the mirror, he's worked particularly hard on his lats and delts, so please compliment him on his cobra-like torso. Andrea, who did with grace what no mother should have to do. She logged the hardest hours. She was the most patient, the most rational. She was Jobie's anchor in all of this. With each new stage, each successive setback, Andrea was the first to find acceptance, the first to find an equilibrium that allowed us to adapt, stay sane, and keep functioning as an intact family unit. Could she be a little lippy at times? Sure. Could she be a little annoying? Yeah, she could. It's okay. But a big part of getting through this journey was being able to laugh. And few things made Jobie laugh more than Andrea's quirks and our calling them out. Jobie. Here before us sits the Jobie Nation, the tribe of eclectic Jobie people who identified with our little muffin stuffin'. If you ran a regression analysis of Jobie people against the personality traits we most admire, compassion, humor, intelligence, generosity, you'd have a correlation of 1. Jobie was actually a pretty ruthless and unsparing judge of character. If you were a Jobie person, trust me, you had passed through a rigorous screen. You could take a joke, but not yourself too seriously. You could think of others first and be happy listening to other people's narratives. You like stories about crazy family members. You like to dish a little gossip. You could appreciate that exceptional people come in lots of different packaging and don't always excel in sports or post high ACT scores. You could appreciate a unique and sunny little creature like Jobie, and you loved that smile. I know this will be shocking, but I loved being a girl dad, and I loved being Jobie's dad. Where some of my other kids might try to keep me out of certain aspects of their lives, unsuccessfully, I might add, Jobie always included me in her stuff. Starting, of course, with our soccer team, the Mighty Fairies. Jobie was not the most committed sportswoman. Wait, you are thinking, doesn't her dad carry the elite athlete gene? For my high school friends, they're bitter. The only way Jobie would continue with any sport and not be left behind was to coach the team myself, so I did, and thus began the 13-season run of the Mighty Fairies, one of the highlights of my athletic life. Long before Taylor Swift made it cool, ours was a culture of girl power and empowerment, and Jobie truly was the heart, the cultural heart and soul of that team. I approached coaching the Fairies like it was St. Louis Country Day football. precision drills, focus, reps, lots of eye of the tiger and heart of the lion. Jobie saw things differently. To her, the purpose of practice was to catch up with the mommies or simply end it early and get everyone to Yogurt Guru. Even during rivalry week, when one would think that having the Barbie butterflies on the schedule would be enough to stay focused, Jobie's focus was on who was bringing donuts for halftime snack, which says just about everything about the fairies. Which is also why the Mighty Fairies is a perfect metaphor for Jobie. Because when the dust settled, she cared most about convening, catching up, and of course, making sure everybody got a donut. There were some areas where perhaps I took some liberties relative to my involvement in Jobie's world, specifically her birthday parties. Pilloried by some, questioned by many, these parties were definitely memorable. And it was here that Jobie's crazed, manic, party planning mind and my alleged controlling impulses would clash. Which brings me to Jobie's favorite joke, which she would only say in front of my friends when I was suffering from a particularly acute episode of controlling-itis. Knock, knock. Control freak. No, you're not doing it right. You're not doing it right. Jobie loved that and said it 1,000 times. Ultimately, we would put our swords down, and our collaboration resulted in some indelible moments. Age 7, day of beauty. I was on nails, Susan Daggett on hair, Andrea on makeup. Did we get some blowback for negative body image messaging to 7-year-olds? Yeah. Yes, we did. Yes, we did. Age 9, formal dinner party night, sort of a pre-debutante boot camp. Evening gowns, mocktails, plated dinner on Granny's china, live music provided by the Hodges sisters. And Jobie's favorite part, teaching the girls the art of vapid dinner party chit-chat. And age 12, night of art. Epic scavenger hunt at the Museum of Contemporary Art, followed by dinner at Falcone's scary neo-modernist metal house and movies on his hipster rooftop deck. Jobie's favorite part, the movie wouldn't work, so the girls were forced to watch an endless loop of Mark and Ellen's disturbing avant-garde art film installation. Jobie loved the spectacle of it all and thought it was hilarious. I suppose that was our love language. Planning gatherings, butting heads, collaborating, arguing, always with a wink to the absurd and always going for the laugh. When she was little, one of the great softball teases of Jobie was to discuss planning her wedding, arguing about venue, china patterns, number of bridesmaids. When she was around 12, we got into an actual fight about wedding dresses. She wanted Stella McCartney, and I'm a Vera Wang guy, and, right? I mean, healthy, normal father-daughter stuff. I will not be planning Jobie's wedding, one of the many things that she and I will not be able to do together. I won't get to vet her husband, watch her grow into the beautiful young woman she was becoming, watch her navigate the challenges and joys of adulthood, watch how she wielded her mighty spirit and tenacity. I won't be able to plan Jobie's wedding. But that doesn't mean I can't plan Carolina's, or Helena's, or Mia's, or the PC chicks. Might it be a little awkward? Yep. But while Jobie would be amused/horrified at the idea of my imposing myself on your nuptials, she would be delighted that you girls had stayed connected to her family. I'm only like 8% kidding too, so get ready. I want to say a few things about what Jobie represented to me and what she taught me about how to view our fellow women and men. First, that the world needs more people like Jobie. We need her smile. We need her engaging personality and deviously sharp wit, her compassion and genuine interest in the affairs and well-being of others. She wasn't perfect. She could be every bit the age-appropriate biatch adolescent young adult, especially to her mommy. At its most hilarious, for me and Nico, Jobie would bound into the house, frustrated, raw, girl drama pulsing through her veins, and just need to vent at Andrea. And she would dump her stuff, glare at me making dinner, and through clenched teeth snarl, "Where is she?" Second, she really did look at the world differently. She valued people differently. Her value scale was weighted towards kindness, self-effacing, and she definitely liked badass women. Jobie wouldn't hold it against you if you were rich, powerful, beautiful, or brilliant, or held a Senate seat. But if that's all you brought to the table, she just wasn't that impressed. She gravitated to people who were likable rather than simply impressive. The people Jobie liked instinctively are the people that, as I have gotten older and a little wiser, I have learned to like more. Jobie had a lot of struggles. We tried to shield her to some extent, so her issues were not always apparent to people who interacted with her. But things were always hard for Jobie: executive function, fine motor skills, working memory, massive dyslexia, navigating adolescent relationships, all common attributes of neurofibromatosis, and all of which could lead one to underestimate Jobie, which would have been a mistake, because she was wise, and she was intuitive, and she was always exceeding expectations. She grinded through high school. She got accepted to Providence College, matriculated there, despite our concerns that she could handle it. And it was the best decision of her life. Never have more anxious parents separated from their child than us from Jobie, that fateful drop-off at Providence College. But she made it work. She grinded harder. She leaned into PC's unique culture of actually caring about their students. And she showed us this is where she belonged. She was so proud of PC, and she loved the life of a college student. Always an advocate for the underdog, she was also developing into a pesky little social justice warrior, and loved telling my conservative friends that she was a women and gender studies major, and then adding with a big smile, which my dad thinks is bullshit. Jobie, fucking Jobie, love her. Towards the end, I took Jobie outside in her wheelchair to a beautiful place under the elm tree in front of Barbara Atkinson's house to discuss some painful but necessary things. I told her how much I love her, how sorry I was that she was going through this, how sorry I was that ultimately I could not save her, how we will miss her, but that we will be together again. I asked her what she wanted to do with the money she had earned and received from her grandmothers. The first thing she said was Planned Parenthood. So of course I said, no, seriously, Jobs, like, you mean like Ducks Unlimited or Nature Conservancy? And she waved me off, and she gave me a weak little middle finger, and she whispered, Planned Parenthood. Jobie was a brave and tough kid. I will never forget watching her trudge up to the elevator at UCSF at 5 in the morning. She was cradling her pillow and clothes, her life having been utterly upended, heading upstairs to a 7-hour craniotomy and a terrifyingly delicate tumor resection, outcome highly uncertain. Not hesitating and not looking back, never looking back. At that moment, I thought, this chick could absolutely have stormed Omaha Beach. It was the bravest, most profound thing I've ever witnessed. But lest we idealize Jobie and her struggle too much, it's important to advocate the reality of what was happening. Did she approach what became terminal cancer with grace? Yes, she did. But she was also pissed off that her life was disrupted. And she was scared and confused by the concept of death. And she was enormously frustrated with each successive loss of function and independence. In this last part, the grueling incrementalism of this disease, watching Jobie try so hard to retain her grasp on a normal that was slipping away, that we could not help her grasp, that was the heartbreak of heartbreaks. I love being Jobie's dad, and it was the honor and mission of my life to have fought for her these past 2 years. I love the light and the laughter and the complexity that she brought to my life. I loved that she changed me for the better, made me look at the world better. I loved her quirky personality and her world-class smile. I loved that she was the emotional center of gravity for my family. And as gut-ripping as these past 2 years have been, I wouldn't trade the full experience of Jobie for anything. R.I.P., my little muffin stuffing.
It was a long, long day, Tuesday gone. Wrote it down in a song. Paradise lost but paradise found. It all comes back around. You'll go ha, 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 ha. Just like the river, you'll go on. You'll go ha, ha, na, ha, na. Just like the river, you'll go on.
The paradise and the Buddha smile. All the clouds Celestine. Now you're on a highway, windows roll down, no wind, just way bound.
You'll go on,
just like the river you go on.
you'll go on, just like the river you'll go on. Another reason going home by, like a cloud in the sky. You like the way you went around, knowing life goes up and down and goes on. Da, 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 da.
It goes on,
Just like the river goes on, it goes on, just like the river goes on. You go on, just like the river you go on. You go on, just like the river.